East London, South Africa's sixth largest city and the only river port in the country, is set on the broad Buffalo River and an Ahoon, and is renowned for being the gateway to the Sunshine Coast of the beautiful, lush and pleasant Eastern Cape. Fondly known as Buffalo City, East London is 990 kilometers from Johannesburg, and it's a bustling port which also boasts stunning beaches and a temperate climate. It's here that the 2007 African Heritage Cross Country and Amathole 500 finds its home at the end of July for almost a week's worth of all-out racing. The event, round 5 of the ABSA Off-Road Championship, doubles up as the FIA Cross Country World Cup second round and is bound to make SA road racing history. The headquarters of the race will be the superbly set Fish River Sun, situated about 100 kilometers from East London, and it's here that several top international teams will set up crews and pits to ensure that they and their vehicles are in tip-top shape for what promises to be a tough 1,400 kilometer long trek through the Eastern Cape Bush. In last year's event, the first FIA outing to the southern tip of Africa in the Limpopo province was held in icy weather, and it was a fine test for man and machine. But then there are a few local teams who this year want to make off-road history and win big. The 07 Russian team, led last year by Sergei Shmakov, have made way for Mikhail Narishkin and his co-driver Artem Nazlinikov in a Nissan Patrol, and should they be able to adapt to the dusty local conditions, they could be a big factor. This time round, though, Nissan Navara Crew Century Property Development's Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar are also ready to achieve big things. They've been virtually faultless through the first 4 races of the National Championship battle so far. The Toyota Camp have also entered a strong squad and will be able to rely on father and son combination Cliff and Louis Weichelt and Ramon Besaidnout and Stefan Locke. But hopefully they won't have too many wrong slots like that. In the special vehicle class, there are several contenders who could make the racing in this class very unpredictable. Basically, like off-road racing always is, really. However, last year's winners Jan Kraai and son Hendrik in the Regent Insurance Racing Bat have been a picture of consistency and have won 4 in a row. They would want to take 5, if you'll pardon the pun. Last year, the Nissan combination of Sandor Kiz and Peter Cegledi from Hungary did the Japanese manufacturer proud, and manager Glenn Hall will again want to see the red and white band flying high in the big Eastern Cape race. But off-roading is a tough proposition at the best of times. Also teams who bring loads of Dakar Rally and FIA cross-country experience with them. Men like Brazil's Paulo Nobre and his Portuguese navigator Felipe Palmeiro in their X-Raid BMW X3, and multiple Italian champions Riccardo Goroschi with Rudy Briani in a Mitsubishi Pajero. Last year, the FIA round was dominated by overseas entries, but in the specials, it was the Kraais who got on their winning streak and have just not let up yet. The entry list is literally a who's who of SA off-road racing, and the Bloemfontein outfit Ruacon have stuck their whole squad in with plans for a win or 2. In the super production or SP class, Corbett and Balzar must be the early favourites, with a proudly South African Nissan Navara in the hands of Norway's Ivar Tollefsen also poised for a good performance after some consistent drives of late. In 2006, the Kraais exploded onto the scene and won the Newcomers of the Year accolades. And they started off 07 in exactly the same vein, on a winning note, in other words.
Oh, we were so glad that there's an international rally with exposure for South Africa, and we wanted to support the organizers, and we felt that it would be good practice for us and good support and good for our country to have as many entrants there. And we entered the race. It was, I think, a 3 or a 4 day race of over 1,000 kilometers. And Hendrik and I shared the driving, and we enjoyed it a lot, and we ended up winning the special class in that race. And because of that, we decided this year we've got to go defend our title, so we're going to race it again.
We wanted to know, how did they learn to race so well so quickly, especially in a tough class like Class B?
Yeah, last year we started racing in a Class B car. That's a 2000cc car in the space frame cars, as you can see at the back here. That's the kind of car that we race. And we had a very successful season. We ended up being second in the championship. We learned a hell of a lot, and we had a lot of guys that helped us and gave us advice. And it's actually it's a magnificent sport, and we ended up being second in Class B last year.
And how has the change in sponsor affected them? After all, it was a big change and a move to a bigger team.
Yeah, last year we raced under our Keymax banner, which is our own property development company, as I said. And this year we've joined in with Terence Marsh and the Regent Racing team, which gives us a lot more backup and support in terms of knowledge, tools, equipment, at the races, also a little bit of sponsorship. So I think if you want to really get somewhere in racing, it's always a good thing to be part of a bigger team, and we enjoy it. I mean, the camaraderie and sometimes we race for 4 hours and then we talk for another 4 hours after the race, and that's why we're actually glad that we're in a team now.
And how did he start? It was, after all, at a rather advanced age, if he doesn't mind us saying so.
Yeah, I started bike racing when I was about 40, so it was sort of late in my career, if you can call it that. And I actually did it because my sons, they were very keen on it, and we bought some off-road bikes for them. And I think it was the year 2000, I came third in the seniors. And my son Hendrik, he was actually the star of I think when he was in matric, he won the Desert 1000 on a 125. He was first in his class. I think he was 6th overall in that race, which was a hell of an achievement. And I think one year he's finished the roof, I think in 8th or 12th overall on the roof. And one year I think he finished 6th overall in the 250 class. So that bike racing is definitely an advantage if you switch over to car racing, because you get to know, and you can actually see the terrain, and you can see where obstacles is, because that's a big thing of off-road racing, is to go at the right speed through an obstacle or over a jump or through a mud bath and that kind of thing. And the bikes, I think, has just given you that little bit of a feel for how to handle the terrain.
And their season has been a full house. How does that affect their plans for East London?
There's 8 races in the season. We've finished 4, and we've won 4. So this next one, the Saturday race, we want to make sure we finish it. So we're not going to go all out to win. We're going to go to finish it. And then the other 2 days, we've got the Heritage, the International Rally, which is also important for us, and we're going to preserve the car on our own race. And in the Heritage race, we want to also just finish it, and then there's 3 races left for the year. And I think our strategy is going to be conservative from here and make sure we finish them. And if all goes well and it rains again at Carnival City, you'll be spectators then.
So the Crows are definitely the ones to watch. Meanwhile, the pineapple farmers in this area watch the weather and their crops with eagle eyes. This part of the world exports some of the world's biggest amounts of pineapples to virtually all 4 corners of the globe, and South Africa is seen as a world leader. The 5th International Pineapple Symposium was even held in Port Alfred, confirming the country as a world leader in this sphere. For the drivers, there will be precious little time to admire the